talked about your reason for coming into politics as the desire for change that drove you, looking from your father's experience that made you wanted to venture into politics. Aside from, you've talked about how that you've been able to influence in certain platforms where you've been able to hold ground. Do you still see any possibility in the near future? Do you still have some aspiration, some places you would like to see extend your hand of change going forward, looking into the future politically, sir?
My remaining in politics today
Right.
is a product of persistence and positive expectation of opportunities to serve. If today I have opportunity to serve in any capacity, whatever capacity, from legislative to executive appointments, I'm willing. Currently, I am serving now as an assistant to the current senator in my area. That gives me an opportunity to reach out to the people. For example, recently I had to be in charge of some fertilizer distributing fertilizers to farmers, distributing other incentives, giving opportunities to people, having to be in charge of distribution of things like transformer. Last week I took delivery of a transformer for another community on behalf of my principal, and I feel a sense of fulfillment. Yeah. Imagine, the joy that wells up in your heart. You are being welcomed by a whole community. The king is almost jumping for joy, and it's like you are the transformer you are bringing. It's not your own per se, but they see you like a kind of Messiah, and there's a well of joy that comes in you when you see you being the transmitter of joy to the people.
Yeah.
I mean, that's excellent for me, and I look forward to many of such. I love the faces. I love the look on the faces of people.
Faces.
Yes, when we deliver, goodies, when we deliver, dividends of democracy, either as stomach infrastructure or physical infrastructure. Because you see, whether we like it or not, we have to do the two.
Both are needed.
Both are needed. Both are needed. Physical infrastructure, stomach infrastructure, social infrastructure, we deliver it to them and we see joy in their faces. And some of them even forget that the things that you are delivering may not necessarily be coming from your own pocket, but they are happy. They see you as a kind of savior, as a kind of Messiah. I like to see the look on their faces again and again.
That interests me, and that will beg the question, because sometimes we see these things in the news, like, okay, so and so did a project in the community, so and so in the constituency, and then some of these things are just in the news. And so I can relate with why when you actually have to deliver, it becomes that important, that impactful to a community. I can just imagine if in this day and time people had to struggle with darkness for long, and then you bringing a transformer to that. Yeah. You are not just bringing a transformer, you're actually becoming a transformation agent to that.
Yeah.
I can relate with that. Going forward, if you were to advise a young person, maybe who's been in a political arena for a bit, or maybe, but during that election season, what are some of the things he or she need to look out for, pitfalls, some of the good opportunities to take advantage of? What are some of the things that, supposing you want to contest?
Well, the first thing I would tell anyone who is contesting an election, that aside all the things I've mentioned, number one, get ready for shocks. You should get ready for shocks. There are a lot of shockers that those who are the faint-hearted might not be prepared for. One of the shockers that you need to get ready for is the shocker of disloyalty, of people you think are loyal but they are not loyal. In politics, hardly will people tell you that you will not win. Hardly. Even when it's glaring that you are losing, technically glaring that you are losing, you find people who are telling you, don't worry, you are winning this election. You just need to give us like ₦1 million, and then we'll do some work, we'll do some work, like work here, and then all will be well. You must get ready for shocks. And, don't take people for what they say. Do your own work. Reach out to the people. And then I also tell them, do not downplay the importance of godfatherism. Okay. In Nigerian politics, you do not downplay the importance of godfatherism. You see, except by divine intervention, you cannot but do without the godfathers. There's a place they play. There's a role they play. What you require is the wisdom to handle them. Yeah. The wisdom to handle them. Without a Mordecai, there will have been no Esther. Without a Mordecai, there will have been no Esther. So that's very important. And again, look at the community where you are contesting, and be careful of the religious religious colorations in your community. For example, Nigeria is a multi-religious country, and you as a child of God, you as a Christian, you are going into politics, respect other opinions. Respect people of other religions. I told you when I became the chairman of the party, and the news had gone around that a pastor has become our chairman. So we're like, who is he? Pastor. What are we going to do with a pastor? But you see, the very first day I took over, I took over at the meeting, I called for prayer, and I deliberately called for Islamic prayers. I deliberately called for Islamic prayers, and then they prayed, and they were shocked when I joined in the Fatiha. When I joined in chanting the Fatiha with them, and they were like, "Whoa,
this one is different.
This one is different." And at the end of the day, the sound came. So we need to be careful. And then again, anyone who is going into politics must not be apologetic about his faith. Never you become apologetic, inasmuch as you allow other religious opinions to have their way. Do not be apologetic about your faith. There's no point hiding who you are. I'm a Christian. No apologies. No apologies. No, I am one of you. No, it's either you accept me as I am. I allow you to do what you're doing, but also allow me to do my own. If I've given you freedom to do your own religion, you must also give me freedom to be my own self. So I have no apologies being a Christian. And then again, you cannot, because you have shown that you are not apologetic about your faith, you can't accept everything, especially the ones that affect you personally. You can't accept it. For example, rituals. For example, getting involved in shady things. You can walk away. You can say, no, this is not going to happen. I'm not going to stop you from doing it if you want to do it, but do not involve me. There must always be that line. And you must draw it so consciously that even the blind can see and even the deaf can hear.
That's interesting. I was going to talk about godfatherism, and then luckily you drove the discussion towards that side. I won't dwell too much on that, but I'd like for us to know from your experience, how did you manage these godfathers? Okay. And because sometimes there's been this argument on the street, unverified, that when godfathers sponsor you, put you in there, you have no say than to do exactly everything they want. Okay. So how did you manage it, and how were you able to bring change in spite of their own maybe contrary opinions?
Unfortunately, in Nigeria, political parties are owned. Political parties are owned. I am looking forward to the day when independent candidacy will become well enshrined in our constitution. The strength of godfatherism will be dealt with, seriously dealt with, the day we allow independent candidacy. Of course, it's going to be tough at the beginning for independent candidates, but over time, independent candidates will have their way. As it is now, with the way we are operating, there's little or nothing anybody can do in taking care. Because you see, INEC requires you to be nominated by a party. A party that is not your own. A party that you met. A party that has an existing structure. Now, that party adopts you as its candidate. You have become the property of a structure. And because the primary elections will not be conducted by the masses, the primary of your political party is not the business of the people outside. It's not the business of the citizens. It is the business of the party. And when you don't scale that order, you are going nowhere. You can't go to INEC and submit your name.
You can't even get a ticket.
So it is the party that will submit your name to INEC. So you have to go through the party. And because that party has an existing structure, you need somebody to lead you to somebody that would tell somebody about you. But to just wake up and say you want to, get the ticket of the party, and then you want to brandish and then call names and push everybody down, that's a tall order in the Nigerian system. That's a tall order. Except you want to go and start your own political party, or probably, go to, one of the small political, I'm sorry for the use of the word small political parties, which of course will require you to do so much. Look at the National Assembly. Look at the state governors. How many states are being governed by the third force? How many legislators from the third force are in the National Assembly? How many legislators from the third force are in the state assemblies, if not from the first or the second party, always being the majority? That is the consequence of the party structure that we are operating in Nigeria. And the only way to deal with that scenario is independent candidacy, where a man can stand up and go and meet the populace by himself and announce himself, I am so and so, vote me on my integrity. Godfatherism will be dealt with.
Do you see that happening
anytime
soon?
I see that happening. Well, maybe not soon. Yes, maybe not soon, but I expect a revolution.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm looking forward to a revolution. And what is the revolution I'm looking forward to? I'm looking forward to the revolution of conscious voters. I wouldn't remember whether I mentioned it in the past series of this program, that I have identified 3 categories of voters in Nigeria. The first category of voters that I have identified are the commercial voters. Commercial voters. Second category are the controlled voters. And then finally, the conscious voters. Commercial voters, controlled voters, and the conscious voters. Now, let me do an analysis. The commercial voters are the average people who will vote based on how much you have greased their palm. Now, for that category, they don't care, even if a dog is the candidate.
Just do what, just make sure you
they don't even care to know.
Make a deposit
just. So they, as far as they are concerned, an animal could win the election. It's not their problem. Just give me the money. Unfortunately, this category of people are a tiny minority, but a very strong minority. They are very strong minority. I call them minority because if you look at the number of registered voters compared to those who actually vote, you will know that those who cause elections to be won or lost are tiny minority. For example, in the just concluded election in Edo State, there were local governments that turned in votes as little as 20,000, where there were over 100,000 registered voters. And then they were turning out 20,000.
What happened to the margin?
What happened to the 80,000? So now that 20,000, go and check that 20,000. In that 20,000, the majority of those in that 20,000 are commercial voters. So they may end up being just about 15,000 out of the 20,000. But now put that 15,000 on the 100,000 that register to vote. What do you call that 15,000? It's a minority.
It's seriously minority.
It's a minority. But put that 15,000 on the 20,000 votes. What does it become? It becomes a majority. So it's a tiny majority. It's a tiny minority that becomes the majority on the election day. Because the other categories of voters will not do what they will do. The commercial voters are ready to wait from dawn to dusk. They can wait. If it is raining, they will wait. If it's sunny, they will wait because they are going to be remunerated. And they will be the ones to decide. So politicians don't play with them. Politicians don't play with them. They know them.
No wonder they
know what
talk about.
That is why the average sensible politician in Nigeria do not go and campaign to Nigerian Medical Association. The average sensible politician in Nigeria does not waste his time going to talk to academic staff union of universities.
Yeah.
If you see a politician in Nigeria talking to doctors, talking to lawyers, talking to engineers, you have already seen a loser. You have seen a loser. Because the people he's talking to, they belong to a category that I called conscience voters. The conscience voters that form the majority, and heavy majority, but a very docile majority.
Wow.
It's a docile majority. A majority that is almost useless on the day of the election. So the average Nigerian politician who knows his onions does not waste his time
with those.
He doesn't waste his time talking to engineers. He doesn't waste his time talking to lawyers and doctors and lecturers. He doesn't waste his time talking to them. Who does he talk to? Okada riders,
the ones on the streets.
market men and women. And that's why, if I'll tell you this, in Nigeria, if a governor in Nigeria hears that doctors are going on strike or Okada riders are going on strike, the Nigerian governor will first of all attend to Okada riders. I'm telling you the truth. I'm telling you the truth. You could as well tell the doctors to go to places. He would rather attend to Okada riders or attend to market women. I've told you. I don't want to say this on here.
It's evidence.
It's evidence.
They are always calling for strike. There's even one still in the news. Let's not go into that. Just talk to us quickly about
that docile majority.
Yeah.
If I have opportunity to talk to the docile majority, they are the ones who are very vocal when it comes to strike, when it comes to protests.
I didn't want us to go.
They are very vocal in strike. They are very vocal when it comes to we no go agree. We no go agree, we no go agree. But tell them to come and vote. Tell them to come and take the decision of who leads them in the next 4 years. They will rather analyze, watch on CNN, watch channels, watch all kinds.
They follow the news more.
They follow the news. They know the best candidates. They know the best candidates because they are. You see, that's why in Nigeria today, when you watch some debates by governors, by would-be governors, would-be presidents, would-be this, would-be that, watch debates. The debates contribute little or nothing to the results of the elections.
Sure.
The debates contribute little. Some will even tell you that they are not coming. We ignore the debate.
And then
yes, they will ignore the debate and they will still win the election because he knows that those who are going to watch that debate, those who are going to watch the big Turanshi, the big English
analysis,
these analysis they will do. The people who will vote don't watch debates. So he doesn't give attention to this. So he can as well say, I'm not coming to your debates. And then the press can say all kinds of things. He refused to come to debate. Is that the kind of leader you want? He will still go to the polls and he will win the election because the commercial voters and the controlled voters Who are the controlled voters?
Good.
The controlled voters are the ones who are neither here nor
Not
there
there.
until a leader, religious, political, traditional, tells them where to
This
go.
way.
This way. And they go that way. Money or no money. That's also another class of people. The northern part of Nigeria has a chunk of that category. The control voters. The Almajiris of Kano, the Almajiris of wherever have very, very good example of that category.
Yeah.
They can vote for anybody. They don't even know
The people.
They don't even
They
know
don't
the
need
people.
to know
They
the
don't even need to know. They just get to the polling booth. So
The leader says,
who did the leader say we should vote for? The leader say we should vote for Mr. Dog. So it's Mr.
Well,
Dog.
is this one?
Is this one? Baka, that's all.
And they are good.
And they are good. The leader said that we should vote for Mr. Dog, and he votes for Mr. Dog, and he's going home. What Mr. Dog does in the next 4 years is not his business. The leader said we should vote for Mr. Dog. So people in the political parties are in that category, because members of political parties will vote for the for the candidate from their party, even if that candidate is Mr. Dog. So those are the three categories of people, of electoral.
That's very important to
Yes,
note.
yes,
The three
yes.
C's, let me say it again. 3 C's of voters.
The commercial voters,
the controlled voters, and then the
conscious.
The conscious voters.
The conscious voters.
That's a good take home for some of us. So quickly, let's flip the tide a little bit. I would have loved that we go further down the line, but for the sake of time, we'd have to talk on something else that is very important.
Yeah.
Let's start with, how do you manage, how do you combine all of these offices, all these hats together, being a filmmaker, which I know is very, very time consuming and demanding, and then being in ministry, even though you would rather be an evangelist, as it were, it's still, as far as I'm concerned, you have demand from that place, and then also being a politician, which also does not leave you with much. How do you spread yourself around this?
Well, my greatest encouragement is
not to forget a businessman anyway.
my greatest encouragement, or let me say encouragement, two things. Number one, I've heard from a scientific report that the greatest genius in the world has not even used up to 6% or thereabout of the capacity. The greatest genius in the world has not even used up to maybe 4% or thereabout, very minute. I said, so there's a lot
Still,
that
can be done.
That can be done. Then again, I'm deeply encouraged by Nigeria's biggest businessman and Africa's richest man, Alhaji Aliko Dangote. I keep on asking myself, when people say, oh, you are a very busy man, I said, as busy as Aliko Dangote? Am I as busy as Aliko Dangote? A man who has well over 100 interests. Interest in this, interest in that. And I said, what's thick about him? What's thick about him? How is he able to manage all of that? And I have not even done up to 10% of that, and you are telling me I'm busy. Okay, fine. Let me learn more from people like that. How about our leaders in the church? How about a man like our general overseer, Pastor Enoch Adeboye, who has to control, human, natural resources, financial resources, on bigger than a president of any nation.
I didn't want to say it earlier, but thank God you brought it.
So
it's already a global leader. It's leading more than just
I wonder how, more than a continent, thank you, people like that are able to manage such huge human, financial, material resources, and yet they are able to still stand as Christians
and still have time.
For
one-on-one individual.
Exactly. So for me, those are the three greatest encouragements, that I have. And I know that these two men that I've mentioned, these two great leaders that I've mentioned in their own respects, I cannot claim to be near 10% of what they have. Did I say 10? Maybe I wanted to say a percentage of what they have achieved. So there's a lot more to achieve. There's room for more. There's room for opportunities to expand and increase in the area of ministry, in the area of counseling, in the area of movie making, in the area of farming, in the area of politics, businesses, land acquisition, real estate, and all of that. There's a world of opportunities that we have not even explored yet.
That's thought-provoking, sir. Okay, going back to the genesis of your going to politics, I still need to make reference to that again. Even though you've given us one of the reasons that you actually ventured into politics for, would like to ask the question, being someone in the ministry, would you say God called you into politics, or it was more like a personal? How do you think God is in?
I wouldn't want to use the word calling.
Okay.
The word calling is huge,
Right.
because I am a minister, a drama evangelist, and I know that my going into drama ministry, my going into drama evangelism is a calling. Will that be the same with what I'm doing in politics? I don't want to say so. So I don't want to use the word calling. I would rather use the word persuaded.
Okay.
I am persuaded to be in politics. Why am I persuaded? My background, my experiences, my desire, my parenting, my regrets, seeing poverty in the midst of plenty. I still wonder. My question is, why should anybody be poor in Nigeria? If anybody is poor in America, I understand. If anybody is poor in Canada, I understand. If anybody is poor in Japan, I understand. If anybody is poor in China, I understand. Not in Nigeria. Why am I saying that? The resources in Nigeria, America cannot boast of it.
Sure.
The resources in Nigeria, Canada cannot boast of it. Do you know that many of these nations, they look at us and they wonder, what is wrong with these people? We are so rich, human, natural resources. God has blessed us so much. The weather is
good. I was going to say the atmospheric.
Everything. I was in Israel. I've been in Israel up to 3 or 4 times, and I pay attention to the agriculture. The worst place to practice farming in the world is Israel. Is the worst place to practice agriculture. Why? It rains only, maybe they have rains maybe 3 times or 4 times in a year. How can that be a good place to do agriculture? A place where it rains 3-4 times in a year,
and they are not in short
supply
of food.
And it's not even the case of being in short supply of food. They are about the best in agriculture. How do we explain that? How do you explain that the one with the worst environment is the best in agriculture? How do you explain that? I ate fruits in Israel. I saw their produce, and I'm like, oh my God. And here we are. We have rain almost around the year. We don't have snow.
For want of
snow, no, they fall here.
For want of time, let me cut you there, sir, because there's a lot to explore. For want of time, let me quickly touch on this before we wrap up. Would you say, okay, if you don't want to agree or maybe put it as a calling, would you say your faith has really impacted the way you've done politics? Really, would you say there's been times where you've had to rely on? Yeah. Okay, just talk
See,
about that.
my faith as a Christian has really helped me a lot. When I joined politics, the first thing that caught me was that yes, we needed to do this, we needed to do that, give people food, take care of people, and I said, wow, this is what we do in church. This is what we do. Doing stomach infrastructure was not strange to me because we have been taught to do that. Giving was not strange to me because we do that regularly in churches, in our churches. Even till today, for example, the General Overseer has mandated us in our churches that every first Sunday or one of the Sundays in the month we must do CSR. Give to the needy, food to the needy, and all in support all of that. Now, what do politicians do? Stomach, they give food. So what is the difference? Stomach infrastructure. So the church has prepared us. In fact, it's easier for a Christian to flow in that aspect without feeling like a fish out of water. Oh, serving food to 500 people, 100 people, even without being a politician. Don't we do that? Even without doing politics, we are used to doing things like that. So the church has really prepared us. Apart from that, somebody even said that the best place to learn is in the church. You want to learn management of people, become an usher. Ushering teaches you to manage people.
It gives you a lot of patience.
It gives you a lot of patience. Or what about you? There are departments in the church. Being the head of the department helps you to know how to lead. There are so many things in the church that has prepared us.
Yeah. For the word
Pastoring has prepared us both for ministry and also prepared us for public speaking, which is also one of the things you need in politics. Public speaking is good in politics. So when I got into politics and they gave me opportunity to talk, they're like, and you say you just join politics, you are lying. You are talking like this, and like you say, talking is we talk in church.
It's all right, sir. And thank you very much for
my pleasure.
I would have loved to add, but time would not permit us. So we would like to wrap it up here. Thank you so very much for coming.
My pleasure.
This once again, we look forward to having more time, or maybe following some of the things you do. You talked about in 30 seconds. You talked about preparing the ground to be reaching out. Is there anything in motion yet, or still in the?
Yes. For example, in the Redeemed Christian Church of God, I talked about the Directorate of Politics and Governance. In a few weeks from now, or a few days from now, members of the Directorate of Politics will be reaching out to different parishes. We're doing that in the Redemption City. We're doing that in other parishes of the nation. The National Overseer has already given an approval for that. And there, of course, that the Directorate of Politics and Governance is an arm that has received the nod of the General Overseer, our Father in the Lord, long before now. So we need to continue that political sensitization. People must get to understand what politics is and how to navigate successfully. It's not just enough to be convinced and push people into politics. When they get there, what do they do? Do they get lost? So we need to teach them what to do so that they don't get lost.
Thank you so very much.
My pleasure.
So there you have it. Once again, we have our very own in the house, KSO, giving us so much to ponder on. I want to encourage you to stay tuned to RTM, the number one station where you get both religious, entertainment, education fused in one place. And this is Christians in Politics. Once again, my name is Williams, wrapping up for this week. Thank you very much for watching. We hope to see you again next time, same station, same time next week. Stay tuned and have a beautiful day.